Whenever somebody asks me whether or not they should do something, the very first question that comes to mind for me is, how will this aid in your holiness? How will this help you or another person get to heaven? The same fact remains true with celebrating Halloween, or as I like to call it, All Hallows Eve. And today I want to go through the history of where Halloween came from and whether or not we as Catholics should participate. Hey there, alligator. So if you're new around here, we are the alligators because my name is Allie Marie, and around here we like to take life one bite at a time. So as far as Halloween goes, the origination of Halloween is a Celtic Irish ordeal that originated way back when, thousands of years ago, where the Irish and Celtics actually celebrated the end of summer. It was celebrated as a holiday that looks like Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain, and it means summer's end. And at this celebration, everybody would dress up in masks, and they would celebrate around bonfires. They had different traditions as a part of this that would protect them from the evil spirits, from the dead spirits that would somehow join themselves to the earth at this festival on this day, on October 31st. Nobody really knows where exactly that idea or tradition came from. My best guess would be the fact that everything was dying, the crops die in preparation for winter, and so they just assumed that everything that was dead came together at that time. So in the Catholic Church, at this point, Hallows means saints. So November 1st was declared All Saints' Day in the 8th century by Pope Gregory III. And he actually pulled All Martyrs' Day, which used to be May 13th, to also be November 1st. It used to be called All Hallowmas, which means All Saints' Day, because Hallow means saints. So as an initial answer, I would say that Catholics could absolutely celebrate Halloween, and maybe even to bring back the tradition of it being focused on the saints, focused on those who are in heaven. When the little kids come to your door and say trick or treat, you can say Happy Hallows Eve instead of Halloween. They might look at you funny and be like, what? And you say, tomorrow's All Saints' Day, Happy Hallows Eve. And then they can go back to their parents, and if their parents were ever Catholic, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's right, tomorrow's All Saints' Day. And then November 2nd is All Souls' Day, which celebrates all of those who have ever died, whether or not they are in heaven or not at this point. It wasn't actually until the mid-19th century, though, when a lot of the Irish people were coming to America because of the potato famine, that Halloween truly took root as a national holiday in America. One of the traditions is carving pumpkins, right? So the jack-o'-lantern actually has Celtic Irish roots as well. They used to carve out turnips and put lights in them in order to ward off those evil spirits that they were trying to stay away from. This tale originated with a man called Stingy Jack, who actually met the devil and trapped him in a tree by putting crosses around the bottom of the tree and said, I won't let you out of this tree until you promise me that when I die, you will not take my soul. Eventually, the devil obliged. He promised he would not take Stingy Jack's soul when he died. So Stingy Jack took away the crosses, the devil came down and was on his way. One day, Jack died and went to heaven's gates, and they said, you were a mean man, you tricked people, you were doing all these terrible things, you are not permitted in heaven. So they sent him on his way, and he went down to see the devil. And the devil said, I can't take you. I promised you that I wouldn't, so I'm going to hold true to that promise, and you may not enter here. And so Stingy Jack was given a turnip, and he carved it out and put a light inside as he wandered for the rest of eternity. People would then actually take that myth and carve out turnips themselves to keep Jack's spirit away from them, all of the evil spirits, the dead spirits, those who are not yet to their final resting place in the afterlife. So the idea of warding off evil spirits with light, I feel, is a Catholic practice. The Holy Spirit in and of itself is light. Jesus tells us we are the light of the world. And it is through Jesus that we have power over the evil spirits. When the Irish got to America, they decided that they would actually carve pumpkins because there were so many of them and they were so much easier to carve out than potatoes. Costumes and whatnot come from that tradition and sew-in when they would put the masks on, and that was not only to hide from the evil spirits, but even to trick them, that if they were to find them in that time, that they might mistake them for one of their own. So they would wear masks to actually hide who they were. So we have All Hallows Eve on October 31st, then we have All Hallowmas on November 1st, which is All Saints Day when we celebrate the saints. And then November 2nd, we have All Souls Day, which was established in 1000 AD. On this day in England, people would actually give soul cakes, which are similar to biscuits, to poor people in exchange for prayers for the people that they cared about, for their friends and relatives that were in purgatory. One of my favorite traditions of All Souls Day is to eat the favorite food of somebody that I knew that has passed away. So my brother's favorite food is Fruity Pebbles. So on All Souls Day, I go and buy a box of Fruity Pebbles and eat them in memory of him. As far as letting your children go trick-or-treating, I always went trick-or-treating growing up, but I also wasn't raised Catholic. Trick-or-treating really came about because on that eve, the kids would go around and they would pull pranks on people. They would TP the house. They would just do all types of little things that kids would do. So the adults decided, why don't we give them candy? Let's give them a treat to bribe them into behaving. I think as long as you're making a Catholic statement in what your children are wearing and not allowing them to wear Friday the 13th, Scary Charlie costumes or skeletons and ghouls and ghosts and bloody zombie faces. I think that if you are honoring it as an actual day to celebrate the saints, kind of like we would Christmas Eve to Christmas, if you as a Catholic are treating it as All Hallows Eve, I think that God would be okay with you celebrating it. There's a lot in this world that has turned secular. Christmas, for instance, that is still a Catholic holiday, and you can demonstrate that you are Catholic through your decorations. Just like with Christmas time, we as Catholics do not decorate our tree until Christmas Eve, and then our decorations stay up until Epiphany. The same thing can happen with Halloween or All Hallows Eve. You can decorate in a way with just jack-o'-lanterns. You don't have to litter your yard with gravestones and skeletons and ghosts and scary music and host a haunted house in your garage. All of these things aren't conducive. The Bible calls us to focus on what is pure, what is noble, what is right. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And when little kids are nervous about bumping into a moving mannequin, or if they're scared of the spiders and the fire that's all along the walkway, that's not inviting them. That's not saying this is a place where all are welcome. This is a place where God dwells. This is where holiness is. Because we can take death and we can look at it as something scary. We can look at it as something to avoid, as something that is gruesome and bloody and gory. Or we can view death as the most beautiful thing that God has offered us. It's a part of His plan for life. And we can view it as our opportunity to join Him in heaven and to be with those that are also of that same mind, where there is no more sorrow, there is no more suffering. And ultimately, that is what all of our lives are going to lead to. They're going to lead to us being in full union with God, if that is what we seek after and what we long for. So it's one step at a time, one bite at a time, that we are to seek after God and help others see God within us. And the only way that they can see that is if we let our light shine. Don't put it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. And so let it shine in your jack-o'-lantern. Let it be that's going to be your little Holy Spirit. He is a flame, and there's nothing better than demonstrating that to the world. I do want to give a shout out to Robert Garcia for requesting this topic. He is one of my patrons over on Patreon, and I attempted to record this video days ago, but my camera and the editing software just were not going to cooperate with me. So I am very thankful for the encouragement to re-record and just use my iPhone, go simple again, and just let the video be what it is. So God bless you, Robert. Thank you so much. And thanks for the topic request. And until next time, Alistair and I will see you later, alligators. Have a happy Hallows Eve. No.